Sonic the Hedgehog, you can't catch what you can't see. If you know what I'm talking about, I love you and you're probably a huge Sonic fan. My name is Kasich, these are my Sonic glasses, and today here on the leaderboard, we are going to be counting down 107 Sonic facts that you should know. Number 1. Sonic Spinball is the only Sonic game to feature characters from the Archie comics continually. Number 2. According to the Sonic comics series, Sonic had a weird lab accident involving a hamster wheel and some sneakers, and this managed to give him blue fur and super speed. No, I'm not kidding. Sonic was supposedly a normal brown hedgehog until this accident took place. Number 3. When Sega first made Sonic, they were under the impression that hedgehogs couldn't swim, so they made Sonic drown if he stayed underwater for too long. This unfortunately is not true, and if Sonic's creators simply double-checked their facts, we wouldn't have hated water levels so much. Number 4. Sonic can run faster than light. However, no game with a speed meter has ever clocked him as running at that speed. We're friends though, right? I can level with you guys. If we're gonna be real, most games have him struggling to break the sound barrier. I mean, it's all good though, because if Sonic actually could approach the speed of light, his surroundings would begin to distort and shift in weird ways, making the game almost unplayable. Also, if he can move at the speed of light, it wouldn't be very difficult to get to the end of the stage, as Sonic would essentially be massless. Sonic the Hedgehog giving speedruns a whole new meaning. Number 5. Sonic is suicidal. Not in all games, but if you wait around long enough in Sonic CD, Sonic jumps off the ledge and kills himself. That's dark, Sega. That is dark. Number 6. Speaking of dark, Sonic CD's original piracy check would bring pirates to a strange screen if it failed. The screen had some weirdly distorted images of Sonic with what appears to be an old man's face, along with the message, "Fun is infinite with Sega Enterprises," signed by Majin. Majin can be translated as devil in English, and the screen had some pretty creepy music playing in the background alongside with some ominous laughs. For some reason, that makes me really like Sega, because like that is so freaking funny. Am I the only one who thinks that's freaking hilarious? Number 7. Sonic the Hedgehog 1 was supposed to have a sound test, much like the other games in the Sonic series. Unfortunately, it was cut for time. This led to a large blank space on the cartridge, which was then used to put the iconic Sega splash screen chant. That one chant took up 1/8 of the available space on the cartridge and was bigger than some of the game's full levels. Number 8. Not all of Sonic's sound effects are his own. His iconic skidding noise was actually first used in Outrun. However, it has since become far more associated with the Sonic franchise, so the question of who owns the noise is debatable. Was it the chicken or was it the egg? Not entirely sure if that logic applies here. Number 9. Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles are actually the same game. Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles combine to create Sonic 3 and Knuckles when you insert one game into the other. This is all thanks to Sega's lock-on technology, except that technology was actually kind of a sham. You see, Sonic 3 and Knuckles was originally one game but was too big to fit on one cartridge, so Sega split the game up into 2 parts, with the data for Sonic and Tails along with the first half of the game on one cartridge, and the data for Knuckles along with the second half of the game on the other. Connecting the two would just give you access to the full original game. Connecting the game to Sonic 2 would simply cause Sonic and Knuckles to load Sonic 2's stage data along with the Knuckles character data. This is why Eggman wouldn't be wearing his robot mask in the Knuckles version of Sonic 2. This is also why no other games worked with Sega's supposed lock-on technology. Number 10. Many people say that Sonic 3's music sounds a lot like Michael Jackson's music. This is because Sega actually did ask the King of Pop to record some tracks for the game, according to Jackson's composer. Quick break in the video, what did I just say? I don't think it was a word. According to Jackson's composer and musical director, supposedly Michael Jackson was not credited in the final version because he was not happy with the sound that came out of the console. Sega has not yet confirmed this fact, but several sources have supported these claims. In the comment section down below, let us know if you believe it or not. I for one do. Number 11. Why is Sonic blue? Well, other than his hamster wheel sneaker accident, of course. The answer is simple. Blue is the color of the Sega logo, and Sega wanted their mascot to be the same color. In addition, blue apparently stands for peace, and Sega wanted Sonic's color to reflect his good guy with a bad attitude nature. Number 12. The canceled sound test from Sonic the Hedgehog 1 was going to have Sonic breakdancing to a band as the music played. Number 13. Speaking of breakdancing, Sonic likes to to breakdance in more places than just a canceled sound test. Breakdancing has been described as one of Sonic's favorite pastimes in many documents, mostly in the Sonic comics. Number 14. Sonic's canon birthday in video game land is June 23rd. This date is the same date that Sonic the Hedgehog was released in 1991. However, some comics have also pegged his birthday as Christmas or Boxing Day. Sonic had a birthday party in Sonic Generations, but it wasn't clear what date it was being held on. Perhaps we will never know his true date of birth. Number 15. Yeah, we all saw that scene from Sonic Adventures where Sonic started calling Dr. Robotnik Eggman to make fun of him, which I may add as a kid really confused me and made me really mad for some reason. But I digress. Anyway, Robotnik's name was Eggman in the Japanese version of the game all the way back to Sonic 1. So it didn't just come out of thin air. Number 16. Sonic was originally going to be trying to save his girlfriend from Dr. Eggman instead of little forest critters. Named Madonna, she was a blonde girl in a red dress that could have competed with Jessica Rabbit for Best Animated Turn-On. Fortunately, Sega thought this wasn't appropriate for younger gamers and ditched the Madonna idea altogether. Unfortunately, Sega returned to this idea in Sonic the Hedgehog 360, and we all know how that turned out. If you couldn't tell by now, I'm a huge Sonic fan. It was one of the games I grew up with, so I'm pretty passionate about some of these facts. Number 17. Sonic's age is 15. Even in Sonic Generations, where Sonic had a birthday in the game, Sonic is still 15. That means he went back in time to when he was 15 from when he was 15. Yeah, it also means that Sonic's game series is older than he is. If you want to make this even stranger, Sonic Jam and the original Sonic comic peg Sonic as 16 years old, which means Sonic has aged backwards. Then again, his original incarnation listed him as 15 as well, so does he age in a curve? Either way, his games are older than he is. Number 18. Sonic's Archie comic series is the longest running comic series based on a video game of all time. Heck yeah, another point for the blue guy. Number 19. Sonic was actually the first video game character to be in a Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It was the pokiest float of them all. Number 20. Much like Mario originally showed up in Donkey Kong before he had his own game series, Sonic first showed up in Rad Mobile before he made his first title debut in 1991. He was a tiny little air freshener that hung from the rearview mirror. It's a tough job, but, it's a living. Number 21. Much like Mario's original name was Jumpman, Sonic's original name was Mr. Needlemouse. He also lent his name to the original Sonic project titled Project Needlemouse. The title Project Needlemouse was once again used as the project title for Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Could you imagine if the game was called Needlemouse? Oh my god. Number 22. There is an unused voice file in Sonic Adventures 2 where a character is saying that Dr. Eggman's mustache is fake. It's possible that this was removed from the final version of the game because Sega did not want to make this particular odd fact canon. Number 23. Knack the Weasel, the gun-wielding character from Sonic Triple Trouble, was originally called Fang the Sniper, and instead of a pop gun, the character was to wield a silver magnum. Sega deemed this too serious for younger audiences and changed his weapon in all versions along with his name in the American version. I really wish they wouldn't have changed that. That's freaking awesome, but I get it. Number 24. Before Sonic became the hero he is today, Sega tried out several different mascot designs. One was an old man with an orange-brown mustache wearing pajamas, a sort of competing rival to Mario and his mustache. When Sonic was eventually chosen, Sega didn't want to lose the old man design. Instead, he was redesigned to look more like an antagonist and introduced into the games as Eggman. Since the original Eggman design was meant to compete with Mario, it can almost be said that Sonic has been battling a Mario version all these years. Number 25. So now this shouldn't be news to you. Sega went through many different mascot ideas before they landed on Sonic the Hedgehog. One of these ideas was a truly awfully named Feel the Rabbit. Feel the Rabbit was the name. Feel the Rabbit. Feel would pick things up with his ears and then attack them with his body or throw them. This design would later become the blueprint for another Sega game, Rystar. Man, Sega could have had some Very strange mascots, man. Number 26. When finally deciding which creature their mascot would be based on, the hedgehog was chosen over the armadillo, but the game could have been called Sonic the Armadillo. Number 27. Programmer Yuji Naka started small. His prototype for the game featured a simple character rolling through a long tube while inside a life-size ball. He used his version of the game to create the algorithm that would make Sonic's complex motion scheme possible. Number 27. A number of pop culture icons were gathered as resources for the character's creation. Oshima borrowed Felix the Cat's head and Mickey Mouse's body for Sonic's basic likeness. Michael Jackson's boots inspired Sonic's patent footwear, with Santa Claus's coloring tossed in for a sense of familiarity. Number 28. Sega staff had worked out a pretty hefty backstory for the character, most of which was scrapped before release of his debut game. Originally, Sonic was the leader of a rock band consisting of a parakeet who was often mistaken for a chicken, a monkey, a rabbit, a crocodile, and was a skilled breakdancer. That would have been interesting, Sega. You know, kinda. No? Maybe not. Number 29. Japanese pop art was a big influence on Sonic the Hedgehog. Number 30. Sonic the Hedgehog soundtrack was composed by Japanese band Dreams Come True. Now, I never heard the band Dreams Come True, but I have heard Sonic the Hedgehog soundtrack, so I think I'm a fan of Dreams Come True. The band went on to provide music for films including Sleepless in Seattle and the New Line Cinema animated film The Swan Princess. Number 31. As you guys know now, Sonic's primary nemesis, Dr. Robotnik, was originally known as Dr. Eggman in Japan. You see, Sega US and Japanese headquarters could not agree on a universal name. Some of the options tossed around for his name was Bad Wrench, Bad Vibes, Bad Year, and Fatty Lobotnik. They should have called him that. Number 32. At the time of Sonic's release, the hero was the fastest moving video game character ever created. Number 33. Now it's time to make you a little bit angry. According to the player's manual that accompanied Sonic the Hedgehog, it was Sonic's power sneakers that gave him his speed. He didn't have any innate superpowers. I feel like Sega almost ruined the game like a million times. Number 34. There are actually two versions of Sonic the Hedgehog released. There's the popular 16-bit Sega Genesis version and an 8-bit game for Genesis' predecessor, the Sega Master System and the Game Gear. I actually had the one on the Game Gear, which was pretty dope, but the Game Gear took like 8 batteries. So I never beat the game because my dad got so pissed at buying batteries all the time. Number 35. Sonic's programmer didn't get along with Sega. Naka became increasingly fed up with his employing company during the process of creating and releasing Sonic the Hedgehog, primarily due to Sega's resistance to giving the game's developers proper credit. I think that shows a lot of character, Naka, and I really respect you for that. Number 36. Sonic the Hedgehog contains a secret message. The most interesting thing about the message is not the message itself, but the way it was embedded into the game. In a covert act of rebellion against Sega for not letting them put post-game credits, Naka did indeed include a displayed list of the names of all the parties responsible for creating Sonic, printing them on the screen that introduced the game. Since Naka printed the names in black text before a black background, they were effectively invisible and can only be seen via cheat code. But that is freaking awesome. You're slowly becoming one of my favorite people in the world. Number 37. It turns out Sonic the Hedgehog was kind of running a bit slow in his debut game. Naka's engine was so speedy that he found he was getting motion sickness while playing the game, so he actually turned down the speed a few notches. Number 38. Sonic's sassy attitude was modeled after Bill Clinton. Yup, we've been playing as Bill the Hedgehog the whole time. Number 39. Sonic the Hedgehog owes some of its success to Saddam Hussein. I know that sounds crazy, but you know, follow me on this convoluted logic trail for a moment if you can. Oshima created the Sonic character, and Naka provided the engine, but Sonic had a third father. Yoshiro is the least famous of Sonic's creators, but he's probably the most important. See, Yoshiro was the lead designer and director for all of the Sonic's 16-bit adventures, and the guy who actually made Sonic fun. Not so coincidentally, the quality of the Sonic franchise dropped off right around the time Yoshiro left Sega. When Sega started putting out really crappy Sonic games, Yoshiro was off designing the Jak and Dexter games. He even worked on the first couple Uncharted titles, so if there's any doubt about who the real brains of Sonic was, Really? Anyway, in 1990, Yoshiro was a rookie, having only been with Sega for a couple months. Yoshiro was saddled with the thankless task of establishing a new development team in America, but just as he was about to leave, Iraq invaded Kuwait. The outbreak of the first Gulf War postponed Yoshiro's trip, leaving him with nothing to do back in Japan. Oshima and Naka noticed Yoshima moping around, and since they needed all the help they could get, they asked him to join their team on a temporary basis until he went to America. He ended up becoming engrossed in designing Sonic stages and never ended up going back to America. So if it weren't for Saddam Hussein, there's a very good chance that Green Hill Zone and all your other favorite 16-bit Sonic stages wouldn't even exist. So, you know, there's that. And also, if I pronounced any names wrong there, I am so sorry. I am awful with Japanese names. I am just awful with names in general. Number 40. Sonic the Hedgehog's Western cover art, designed by the great Greg Martin, is one of the most iconic of all time. That said, Sonic's creators absolutely hated it. Oshima didn't like the airbrushed, Americanized style and didn't understand why Sega of America couldn't just use his original artwork. Sonic Team and Sega of America almost had a major falling out over it, but eventually, Sega of America got their way, and Sonic's Japanese box art pose actually ended up closely resembling the American art. Number 41. Sonic the Hedgehog is part of the top 3 most ported games of all time. Number 42. Sonic was going to have fangs, which I guess kind of makes sense, but it would have made him really terrifying to kids, so Sega ended up cutting that little detail. Number 43. The American cartoon in the 90s, Sonic was voiced by none other than Steve freaking Urkel, which really blows my mind because I've seen pretty much every Sonic episode of anything ever in the 90s, and I never put that together. Number 44. Sonic has appeared in over 70 games, which is not bad for a simple premise of a blue hedgehog saving animal friends from an overweight mad scientist. Number 45. On top of the appearances he had in games, he also appeared in many movies and TV shows. These include Wreck-It Ralph, The Simpsons, The Incredible Hulk, Tom and Jerry the movie, and many others. If you guys know any that we didn't list, let us know down below. Number 46. Sega has always bragged about Sonic being the fastest thing alive, and it turns out they weren't lying. He is in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the fastest video game character ever. Come on, step it up! You're too slow! Number 47. Believe it or not, Sonic the Hedgehog is not the first mascot for Sega. Before the Sega Genesis, there was a Sega Mega Drive, and the first official mascot was Alex Kidd. Sega ditched Alex Kidd when they were losing to Nintendo and Mario, so they changed their mascot to something more edgy. Thus, Sonic was born. Number 48. The original Sonic the Hedgehog was released first in the United States on June 23rd, 1991, a few days before it was released in Japan. Sega believed it was more American than Japanese. Number 49. The first time Sonic and his rival Mario appeared in a video game together was Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games for the Nintendo Wii in 2008. Number 50. Mario and Sonic at the Olympics ended up becoming really popular and had 4 installments since it was released 7 years ago. Number 51. Sonic the Hedgehog's middle name is actually The, because Sega thought it would make a cool story one day. How in the world does that ever make a cool story, Sega? Oh hey guys, Sega here, let me tell you a story. One day we created this gaming legend called Sonic the Hedgehog and decided to have his middle name be The. Isn't that a cool story? It's not at all? Okay. Number 52. Since Naka was still very annoyed for the company that he was working for, he ended up quitting Sega of Japan, but was later rehired by Sega of America, who offered him more money, credit, and a team at Sega Technical Institute. Not a bad deal. Number 53. In the late 80s and early 90s, games just sort of showed up in retail stores. Some got them before others. There was no hard release date. That all changed when Sega devised a global launch for Sonic 2, dubbed Sonic Tuesday, which happened on November 24th, 1992. Number 54. If you remember, Sony fired some crowd-pleasing shots at Microsoft during its E3 2014 press conference, but Nintendo actually pioneered that practice back at 1992's Winter CES. Nintendo's Peter Main took the stage with the large plastic Super NES bazooka, the Super Scope 6, and pointed it at Sega's booth, saying Nintendo's newest light gun has pinpoint accuracy from long distances. It's also rather perfect perfect for hedgehog hunting. Luckily, no hedgehogs were hurt by the Super Scope 6. Number 55. Sega of America believed that Sonic the Hedgehog would fail because Americans had never even heard of a hedgehog. like they said that. They actually said that. Number 56. Before Sonic's first appearance in his first game, he also premiered on promotional material for the Sega-sponsored 1990 musical tour of Dreams Come True. Number 57. As of 2011, Michael Sroka holds a Guinness World Record for highest score on Sonic the Hedgehog, clocking in at 404,980 points. If you don't know if that's impressive, trust me, that's impressive. Number 58. Sonic has a similarity with Goku and the rest of the Saiyans. This being, Sonic has an insane appetite. In Sonic the Comic Episode 5, he ate 300 hot dogs and 100 thick milkshakes as a second breakfast after eating 200 burgers. He consumed roughly 199,285 calories for breakfast. Beat that, Goku! Number 59. As of November 2014, the series has sold over 150 million copies, making it one of the best-selling video game franchises of all time. Number 60. The first Sonic game, titled Sonic the Hedgehog, was a platform game released in 1991 that featured protagonist Sonic running through the game's level in order to stop Dr. Robotnik from taking over the world. The game focused on Sonic's ability to run and jump at high speeds with the use of springs, checkpoints, and loops. Yeah! Yeah. If you're wondering, that was supposed to be the first fact, but I thought it'd be fun if I threw it in towards the end. You know, you're welcome. Number 61, the sequel of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, increased the overall size and speed of the series' gameplay and was the second best-selling Genesis game of all time. Number 62, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 introduced Sonic's sidekick, Miles Tails, who followed Sonic throughout the game and allowed a second player to control him in a limited fashion. Number 63, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 also introduced the spin dash maneuver, which allowed Sonic to boost forward quickly when stopped. If you're confused and remember Sonic being able to spin in Sonic 1, he was able to spin, but he wasn't able to spin dash. Number 64, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 introduced a temporary shield maneuver, added new shield types to the series, and allowed Tails to fly under a player's control. Number 65, though I'm sure it's not a surprise to anyone who's a fan of the franchise, but Sonic 3 was the game that introduced Knuckles to the series. At the time, he served as an additional antagonist with Dr. Robotnik for the game. Number 66, the game Sonic and Knuckles, however, was the first game that introduced Knuckles as a playable character with gliding and wall climbing abilities. Number 67. There were several Sonic games for the Genesis that were not 2D platform games. For instance, Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball, which was released in 1993. Number 68. Speaking of Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball, it was one of the few video games that had elements from the cartoon Sonic the Hedgehog and Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. I actually want to go back and rewatch them, but it's one of those things where like I'm so scared that as an adult, it might be like awful and I don't want to ruin my childhood. If you've seen it recently, let me know if it's worth rewatching. Number 70. Dr. Robotnik actually had his own game called Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Number 71. Sonic 3D Blast, a Sonic game that was released in 1996, was actually developed by Traveler's Tales. Number 73. Sonic CD, which was obviously released for the Sega CD, was the first game that introduced characters Amy Rose and Metal Sonic. Number 75. Knuckles actually had a spin-off game released in 1995 for the Sega 32X. It featured Knuckles and a new group of friends fighting against Dr. Robotnik. Number 77. There was also a Sonic game called Sonic Eraser, a puzzle game. It was released exclusively on Sega Game Tashokin. Number 78. Few Sonic games were released for the Sega Saturn, and none were a standard platform game originally made for the system. Number 79. Sonic Jam, a compilation released for the Saturn in 1997, contained the original Sonic the Hedgehog game, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 game, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 game, and Sonic and Knuckles game, as well as Sonic World mode, which allowed the player to control Sonic in a small 3D world. The Sonic World was mainly a means of accessing the disc's multimedia features, which included character artwork, the soundtrack, and Japanese Sonic videos. Number 81. Sonic R, a foot racing spin-off and also the Sonic series' first fully 3D game, was released in 1997 for the Saturn and ported to the PC in 1998. Number 82. The Sega Technical Institute attempted to develop a Sonic game for the Saturn called Sonic Extreme. It was originally intended to compete with Nintendo's Super Mario 64 and Sony's Crash Bandicoot. I think I just called him Crash Bandicoot. Well, I mean, he is adorable. However, due to time constraints and issues between STI, the Japanese division of Sega, and Sonic Team, the project was cancelled in the later months of 1996. Number 83. Sonic Adventures, a launch title for the Dreamcast, was released in 1998 in Japan and 1999 in North America. The game was the first in the series to feature voice acting. Sonic Adventure was re-released for the GameCube and PC as Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut in 2003, and in late 2010 ported to Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network. And if you don't know this, Sonic Adventures is so dope. Number 84, its sequel Sonic Adventures 2 was released for the Dreamcast in 2001 and was the last game in the series to be released for the Sega platform. Number 85, in 2002, Sonic Adventures 2 became the first game in the series to appear on a Nintendo platform. Number 86, the only other Dreamcast Sonic game was Sonic Shuffle, which was released in the year 2000 and featured cel-shaded graphics and a board game concept similar to that of Mario Party series. Dreamcast sales began to decline after the launch of the PlayStation 2, and therefore few Sonic games were released for the system. Number 87, Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventures was also released on Neo Geo Pocket Color portable console, made in the same style of the Genesis Mega Drive era of games. Number 88, the Sonic series has an extensive cast of reoccurring characters. Number 89, one distinctive feature of Sonic games are the collectible golden rings spread throughout the levels. This gameplay device allows players possessing at least one ring to survive upon sustaining damage from an enemy or hazardous object. Instead of dying, the player's rings are scattered. And hey, if you didn't know that, why are you watching this? Come on, like everyone should know that. Number 90. Now you're probably wondering why I included that last fact, and here is why. In most Sonic games, a hit causes the player to lose all the rings, right? But in certain games, a hit only costs a set number of rings, such as 10 or 20. Number 91. Sometimes no matter how many rings you collect, you still cannot avoid the pain and agony of death. This including being crushed, falling into a bottomless pit, drowning, and running out of time. Number 92. In line with many platform games, collecting 100 rings usually rewards Sonic or any other playable character with an extra life. Number 93, certain games in the series often reward the collection of 50 rings with Chaos Emeralds. Number 94, the rings that Sonic collects had other uses in various games, such as currency in Sonic Adventures 2, restoring health bars in Sonic Unleashed, or improving statistics in Sonic Riders. Number 96, in most games since Sonic Adventure 2, these giant rings now serve as just like an end level marker, which ends the level upon touching it. Number 97, a super transformation is a state certain characters go into that gives them incredible speed, near invincibility, and a change in color. In some games, however, characters can still be killed by being crushed, drowning, falling into a pit, or running out of time. Sometimes turning into a Super Saiyan can't save you from, Super Sonic can't save you from anything. I don't know how I could have made that mistake. Number 98, super transformations first appeared in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, where Sonic transforms into Super Sonic if all 7 Chaos Emeralds and 50 or more rings are held at the same time. Number 99, in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Tails can also transform after gaining all 7 Chaos Emeralds and Super Emeralds. Oh my god, I'm almost there, number 100! Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Metal Sonic, Shadow the Hedgehog, Blaze the Cat, and Silver the Hedgehog are the characters that are known to be able to perform super transformation. Number 101, in the earlier Sonic games, item boxes resembled television sets and can only be destroyed with an attack. In later titles, however, they became transparent capsule-like objects easily destroyed with one touch. Number 102, there is another item box with Robotnik's face on it, which causes damage to whoever opens it. Number 103, there's also a teleport box if you're playing Sonic 2 with 2 players, which swap both players' positions. Number 104, giant rings, which are warp rings, were featured in a few Sonic games, mainly from the 16-bit era. Rather than collecting them, they served as a portal to enter a special stage where the player could collect one of the Chaos Emeralds. Number 105, Flicky is one of the most used animals in Eggman's experiments. This small bird's first appearance in the game predates Sonic. Flicky and its respective game were alluded to in Sonic 3D Blast. Number 106, in Sonic Unleashed, there is a spring with Dr. Eggman's face on it that launches Sonic towards danger or hinders his progress. Man, Dr. Eggman sure knows where Sonic's gonna be all the time. And finally, Number 107! The Master Emerald was introduced in Sonic & Knuckles as a plot element. It resides in a shrine on Angel Island and is guarded by Knuckles, as only those from his tribe are able to control it. Or so they thought. Thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to like the video if you like the video to let us know that you like the video. They take a long time to make, especially this one because I had to re-record all 107 facts 3 different times because of technical freaking difficulties. Technology! In the comment section down below, let us know which 107 facts video we should do next, obviously related to gaming, and remember, it is time to take your video game to the next level. Man, look at those boxes down there. Man, if I was you guys, I'd totally click one of those boxes. Legend has it, there's some really cool stuff in those boxes, you know? Also, if you're new, that subscribe button looks like a lot of fun, doesn't it? Man. Okay, I'm gonna go now, bye. Kasich, who is me, is so in love with Sonic that when he was announced to be a playable character in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, he was so freaking excited to the point where he couldn't sleep. When the game finally came out, he was so excited to unlock Sonic and play as him, and when he finally got to play as him, he was so depressed because Sonic ended up being one of the worst characters in the game, and I just thought you should know that personal fact about Sonic, about me, because, you know, let's get personal. Is there any facts about Sonic that's personal to you that you would like us to know? Or maybe the world here in the comments section? Let us know. That would be awesome.